Hey YouTube, today we'll be making one of my family's favorite desserts. It's a graham cracker crust filled with whipped evaporated milk that's been mixed with citrus juice as well as sugar, and it is so refreshing. We put it in the freezer. It's great on a hot day, but it's also good any time of year. You can make the graham cracker crust using about 8 to 12 graham crackers, full-size rectangles. Crush them up, mix it with some butter. You can go anywhere from 2 tablespoons up to 6 tablespoons, and you can mix that all together, press it into the bottom of a springform pan or any dish. That you could use a 9x9 or 8x8, whatever they are. You can really put it in whatever vessel you want. You just want to make sure that there's room for the filling, because it's going to be a whipped filling. It's going to have the consistency of whipped cream almost, and it's not quite as stiff as whipped cream, so you want to make sure that whatever you put it in, it doesn't spill over. We're going to go ahead and, just for the sake of ease, put it in a pre-made graham cracker crust today, and we'll be using limes, and the amount of juice comes out to about half a cup, I think. So if I'm doing this with lemons, sometimes we use lemons. I use 2 lemons, but for limes I'm using 4 limes. So it should come out to half a cup of juice. You also will need 1 cup of sugar, and we're using a 12-ounce can of evaporated milk. So the first step is going to be, we're going to open this can of evaporated milk. We're going to put it in the metal mixing bowl. Metal is really helpful in this next step. We're going to put that in the freezer and let it chill for about 30 minutes, or until you really start to see the evaporated milk ice over. You should start to see a ring forming around the bowl where the evaporated milk is beginning to freeze. And just the nature of this metal bowl helps the evaporated milk chill a lot faster. So that's going to be our next step here. And we'll just put this into the freezer for about 30 minutes. In the meantime, while we wait for the evaporated milk to freeze, what I've done is, because we're using the cheapo store-bought graham cracker crust, I've put a piece of aluminum foil around to kind of mimic what a springform pan would do, so that when we put the filling in, it has a way to rise up, because it's thick enough that it shouldn't leak out of this, but it will at least allow it to have a nice thick filling. What I've done is took a piece of aluminum foil, folded it in half to give it a little bit more structure, and then I taped it to the aluminum pan that the pie crust sits in, so that it at least is attached, and it should sit right inside the metal lip that I folded up of the store-bought crust. Again, it's just easier to use a springform pan and make your own graham cracker crust probably, but this will hopefully get us by. We're also gonna cut up these 4 limes, put the juice, see how much we get. Hopefully it's about a half a cup, and we'll get the sugar ready too. I am gonna go ahead and cut some of or shave some of the skin off of the limes and use some of the zest in the recipe, though that is optional. All right, our mixing bowl is nice and chilled now. It's very, very cold. Starting to see a little bit of the ice forming around the sides of the bowl. So I'll go ahead and get a photo of that and show you. As you can see, the evaporated milk has begun to freeze around the sides of the bowl, and the bowl is very, very cold. That's exactly what we want. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in our stand mixer. Put it on the wire attachment if you got one, and we're going to go ahead and mix that, get it beaten until it's nice and frothy and starts to get stiff peaks, and then at that point we'll add in the sugar It's 1 cup of sugar, and we'll slowly add in the sugar, slowly add in the lime juice and the zest, and we'll see what we come up with. So it's been a couple minutes, and it seems like the evaporated milk is really where we want it to be. If you kind of get a look at that, it's a little bit soupy, not quite stiff peaks or anything like that, but it's got a bunch of air in there. You can feel the viscosity as you move the wire whisk through there. So that's about what we want. We'll go ahead and start mixing in the sugar, and then we'll move on to the juice. Now that we've gotten the sugar and the juice incorporated into the mixture, we can go ahead and transfer it into our graham cracker crust. It's actually freezing on the sides of the bowl because the bowl's so cold, but this is good. So we managed to maintain some of that frothiness that from all the air that we incorporated in the evaporated milk. That's what makes this dessert so good, is that it's very light and fluffy. It's not a heavy dessert at all, but when you bring it out, people usually think it's a cheesecake and they go, oh no, I can't eat anymore, I'm good, and then they'll take a huge slice of this because it's so easy to eat because it's so light and fluffy. We'll just transfer that in, and again, this is where that foil helps, is because if anything overflows, it'll just pile up on the sides of the foil. And we're going to transfer this right into the freezer as soon as we're done, so it also, we can fold that foil over and protect anything from getting into it from the top. And you'll want to freeze this for about at least 3 hours or overnight. You know, you can make this ahead. That's a nice thing too. We'll be having this tonight with our dinner, so 3 hours should give us sufficient time to freeze. And this is actually the first time we've made it with lime. Usually we do lemon, but we have a lot of lime fans in this family, so we'll give that a shot and see how it goes. So I will give this time to freeze, and then we'll meet back once it's done, and I'll show you the finished product. So here we are at the end of this process. We have finished the freezing of this dessert. I removed the foil. It actually managed to stay kind of intact, which is great. It looks delicious. It's going to taste great. I think you'll really enjoy it. The lightness of it is what really gives it its character. It's such an enjoyable dessert because it doesn't feel so filling, especially after you've had a meal. Sometimes the last thing you want is dessert, even though you want dessert. This is it's a real treat. The tartness, the sweetness, and the lightness really just come together to make it a great dessert. So I hope you give it a try, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching.